Hey guys. Okay, so I am continuing the video series that I've been doing over the past couple days, or actually it's been over a week now. So I've covered a bunch of different topics, and tonight we're going to be talking about fasting. Fasting is super popular right now. It seems like everybody's doing it, and I think people are starting to view it as this like magic bullet, and I just wanted to clear up some things about fasting. So first of all, we're going to define what fasting is. So fasting is when you abstain from eating for certain periods of time. So a fast could be, it could be 12 hours, it could be 16 hours, it could be 24 hours, it could be 36. There's people doing water fasts and all of these things. So I don't think that fasting is really beneficial for everybody. There are very specific people that are going to benefit from fasting, and I think that it's widely being overused and not really being completely understood. So fasting might be good for an individual that has problems, with regulating their blood sugar, I'm sorry, not regulating their blood sugar, but somebody that's become very insulin resistant, for example. So that might be a really great fit for somebody like that. You have to monitor that though, because you don't want somebody's blood sugar to drop too much, if you're doing a practice like that. So what I found in my practice with clients is that I actually never really ever have anybody fast for extensive periods of time. And there's many reasons for this. So first of all, one good thing to know is that women do not handle fasting very well at all for hormonal reasons. They can really do a maximum of like 16 hours, maybe 18 if they're lucky, but I honestly have never worked with a woman that's been able to successfully fast for 18 hours without having some significant metabolic side effects. So by that, I mean like maybe their thyroid starts to slow down, they start developing cold sensitivity, things like that. Maybe they start developing compensatory eating habits where they feel like they fasted for this amount of time and then they eat all this food because they feel like they haven't eaten. So it can become a psychological disruptive thing too. However, on the flip side, men tend to handle fasting much better because of their hormonal makeup. So men can get away with longer fasting periods of like 18 to 24 hours. However, I still don't really see it or recommend it as this magic bullet for fat loss, at least not for the long term, because eventually anything that you do, your body is going to adapt to. So in some cases, that can mean some people slowing down the metabolism to compensate, like learning how to do, more with less fuel. Even though you may fuel adequately after your fast ends, there may be people that tends to have their metabolism slow down. And the last thing you want to do is have your metabolism slow down if you are, to adapt to, a shorter feeding period. If you're trying to lose fat and if you're trying to maintain muscle. There are people that can lose muscle when they fast. So I'm not a huge proponent of fasting. When I do have my clients fast, I may have them fast like maybe one time a week on like a Sunday. I think that can be very healthy, but even then, they don't go over 14 to 16 hours. And there's many reasons why, I have them do something like that. But I'm not a big believer in a all the time fasting practice. So who's another person this is not for? This would absolutely not be for someone that is a yo-yo dieter or someone that has come off of an extensive dieting period for any reason, whether you were dieting competitively, you had a big event. This can be very dangerous because if you have been dieting very extensively, you may have already started to compromise your metabolism, starting with the thyroid that started to slow down because of your reduced calorie intake. So the last thing you want to do is then suddenly not only decrease your food intake, but you're going to increase how long you're fasting before you get it. So this can cause very major metabolic problems. So low calorie eating and fasting doesn't always go hand in hand for people, especially not for women, especially not women that have been a yo-yo dieter throughout their life, because you may have already developed a metabolic compensation, type of response to what it is you've been doing. So my last point was I just wanted to talk about how you are going to see a lot of hype out there. There's people doing water fast. There's people doing, I don't know, I think I've seen maybe, is it a 72-hour fast that's popular right now? What I would tell you on that is if you are at a, reasonable body weight, let's say you're you don't have any clinical conditions, or, maybe you're uncomfortable, you consider yourself overweight, you want to lose a little weight, I don't know that I would necessarily start with that, because that can start to set up some unhealthy eating patterns right from the get-go. So if all you're doing is drinking water and then you're going to break your fast, and things like that, that's not always the best thing psychologically. But if you're doing it under guidance of a physician, that's a totally other matter. But I would not look to a water fast or any type of really extreme fasting behaviors as a way to kick off a new eating plan. I would just start with something sensible, something that you can maintain for the long haul, and not do anything really extreme. I have shared other examples where I have used fasting with clients, so I'll just share one of them. So I have a client who is an attorney that I work with a couple states away, and it's actually better for her to not eat until 12 in the afternoon, and this is because she works in the morning and she finally stops eating at 8 o'clock at night. We've also had some digestive considerations. So for her, it actually works for her to start eating at 12 and then have her last meal at 8 o'clock at night. That actually works for her. And we monitor her metabolic response to that. We make sure that, she's not developing cold sensitivity, which can be a sign of thyroid downregulation. We make sure that she's recovering from her exercise. We're making sure that she actually has energy to do her exercise, things like that. So there are rare occasions where it's a lifestyle consideration where we want to have a meal start and stop at a certain time. So for her, we start at noon because it makes the most sense for her lifestyle, because she gets up, she works out, she can go get a salad or whatever before she goes into the office and hits court, and then she's good for the rest of the day, and she only has like 3 other meals to worry about. So if you look at it from a strategic standpoint, instead of as this magic bullet that's going to solve all of your weight loss problems, that's the most appropriate way to use it. You want to really look at it like a tool and not as a magic bullet. So am I against it? Definitely not. But do I think it's overused? Probably so. So just pay attention to your responses if you're developing cold sensitivity, if you are stalling in your weight loss, if you are getting exceptionally hungry in times that are outside of your feeding window. You may want to pay attention to those clues, and you may want to break your fast a little bit early. So, above all, you always want to listen to your body. Hey, Alfredo. So I'm going to be continuing with this series this week. If you found this video helpful, please feel free to share. And thank you for joining me, and have a great night.